Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Football's 12th Man podcast. As ever, I'm your host, Dan Potts, and it's just me tonight. I thought I'd do a little bit of a show and a little bit of a catch-up for the week's transfer news and some of the rumours that we've heard over the last couple of days. Great to see you all joining us in the chat live, and hello to everyone listening on the audio. Guys, I want to say a huge thank you, first of all, because this podcast has taken off quicker than I actually did think. To get on our way to 3K now after only 7 videos is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm really, really happy and pleased that everyone's enjoying the content and coming back for more. And if you keep coming back, then I'm going to keep putting videos out there, I ain't going to lie. It's going to be myself and Lead Judges doing stuff on Lead Judges TV. And of course, we're still staying with AFTV, but this podcast just allows me to have a platform and a voice on my own or with guests and, of course, talk about other football teams. So I'm really enjoying it. And I hope you all are too. Big up to everybody in the chat. Listen, there's not been too much going on in terms of confirmed concrete transfers, but there has been a lot of rumours. So let's talk about some of those. Let's talk about Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba looks like he's on his way to Juventus. I said to Saeed the other night, there's only Manchester United that could allow Paul Pogba to go on a free transfer twice. It's absolute madness, right? I look at it and think, he's on a free transfer and you said fair play. See you later. Go and have a good career. Then he did. And then you thought, actually, do you know what? I'm going to get this guy back. They paid 100 million for Paul Pogba. And as much as you might think he's top quality in games and that perhaps, as Saeed said, there wasn't much around him, I don't think you can look at Paul Pogba's career as a Man United shirt and say it was successful. I really don't. And I know that he won stuff. I know he won a Europa League and I know that he won a League Cup. But when I look at his career, I don't look at him as a Manchester United great. And perhaps when they signed him, they thought that they were going to get that. I also think Paul Pogba needs somebody next to him that is better than Matic, that is better than McTominay or Fred. When he's next alongside Kante for France, he looks fantastic. Because Kante, let's be honest, is one of the best defensive midfielders, or all-round midfielders, to be fair to him, of his generation. And I feel like with Paul Pogba, he's never been complimented with that. And I'm not a huge fan of players that need other players around them. I like players that don't need players around them to be good. Like a Kevin De Bruyne is always great. Like a Patrick Vieira was always great. A Gerrard, a Lampard. I can't put Paul Pogba anywhere near those names. And I think with Paul Pogba, it really reminds me of a Mesut Ozil situation in terms of his mentality. I look at the mentality of Mesut Ozil and think it was all wrong. Technically gifted, just like Paul Pogba, but does a lot of talking off the pitch. And does a lot of talking on the pitch in the wrong way, in my opinion. So I think it's good riddance as far as Manchester United are concerned. And I'm sure he'll have a great career or couple of seasons or however long it will be at Juventus, just like he did a few seasons ago. But I really don't see that Manchester United will miss him, if I'm honest with you. I think Manchester United need to look at their midfield, though. I really do. And it wouldn't surprise me if Frankie de Jong does get done and Van der Beek comes in alongside him. And that's what Ten Hag looks to take forward as his first start of partnership in midfield. And let's be honest, guys, that would be an upgrade on Manchester United's midfield. Because Manchester United's midfield, since Carrick, Keane and Scholes, has been dire. I mean, we've seen some shocking players in Manchester United's midfield. And although I think that Fred and McTominay are just average, I don't think anybody can sit there and tell me that they are going to take them forward. So I think that's a position that they need strengthening now that Pogba's gone, and they need to try to look at a partnership as opposed to just absolute quality player with nobody else around him. They need a partnership there. So that's Paul Pogba. I have to be honest with you. I look at what Juventus are doing, and that links me to Chelsea because there's rumours of De Ligt to Chelsea. Now, I looked at De Ligt and thought that would be a fantastic signing for anybody. But since he's gone there, it ain't really worked out for him from what I'm told. I don't watch Serie A too much and I don't watch Juventus. But it hasn't really worked out for him and they'll be open to selling him from what we're hearing. And Chelsea need defenders. I'm going to talk a little bit about Chelsea now because they've lost Rudiger. They've lost Christensen. It looks like Azpilicueta is going to be out as well. So that means they need defenders. I think they're quite happy at fullback, albeit they don't have much cover. But with Chilwell fit and Reece James fit, I think they've got 2 wicked fullbacks. It depends what Tuchel wants to do to continue a 3 at the back with Thiago Silva and 2 more, or does he want to go back to a back 4? De Ligt and Konde from Seville are both linked. And let's be honest, guys, Chelsea need defenders. They really do. I think Chelsea need a few. And I think they've got a few gaps missing in this team. I'm not so sure that they've got a centre forward now Lukaku's gone. I don't really rate any of their wingers, and we'll come back to that in a minute. In midfield, they look pretty healthy, but not world class anymore. And at the back, as Mark's saying in the chat, Rudiger's a big loss for Chelsea. In terms of stature, quality, and the way they play on the ball, I think he allowed their fullbacks to do what they do. And Rudiger was really commanding, in my opinion, last season for Chelsea. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this De Ligt rumour. I don't know how much it's rumoured to be. Perhaps you can tell me in the chat, someone, of how much they'd be willing to sell him for. But actually, when you look at De Ligt, it might be that he needs a new challenge. It might be that Ajax to Juventus hasn't worked and that perhaps he needs a new challenge. And Chelsea could be that new challenge. As far as Quende, whatever you call his name from Seville, he's got a hamstring injury which may put him out for a few weeks. So it may hamper that deal happening. Now, I don't think it will because I don't think he's going to be out for 6 months. But they may look at that and think, let's go elsewhere. And it might be that why De Ligt has been linked. Then I look at the wide men at Chelsea right now. And I don't think any of them have pulled up trees. Certainly Timo Werner hasn't. I said to Lee Judges the other night, and I think Big Steve might have even mentioned it, if that guy could finish, he'd see a lot of goals. Because he gets himself in brilliant positions. But he fluffs his lines. Pulisic, again, when he first come on the scene, I thought, they've got a player here. But he's never really hit on. Callum Hudson-Odoi, Mason Mount, Ziyech, none of them really fill me with excitement if I'm a Chelsea supporter. Mason Mount has the legs, he's a workhorse, and he does score some goals and play some pretty play. But Havertz has been a lot of money, and I can't see him being the Chelsea number 9 next season. And if he is, it'd be quite good, because as far as I'm concerned, he's not someone who's going to get him 30 goals a season. So where did Chelsea go? They're linked with Dembele from Barcelona. He's now left, he's on a free transfer. I have problems with Dembele's mindset and his mentality from what I'm hearing. I don't know him, I don't speak to Barcelona fans, but all I can say is from what I've heard, he is a little bit of a loose cannon. He stays up all night playing Fortnite like Ozil did that time. He's the one that goes out and he's getting hammered. He's a bit of a live wire, and I'm not so sure that Chelsea need that. But 2 players I think they probably will more than likely sign is Raheem Sterling and Richarlison. And I think both of them would be fantastic for Chelsea. Now, I look at Sterling and sometimes get a bit frustrated when I watch Sterling play. And when I look at his numbers, that is why people don't slate him as much. Because he does the business. And he has done it for Liverpool and for Man City. So I look at that now and think potentially, if Man City are going to be selling Jesus to us, they're happy for Fernandinho to go. There's rumours of Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Sterling. How many players are they going to leave? Like, how many players are they actually going to lose? Because they've signed Haaland and Alvarez. But when you look at that, does that mean now everyone can leave Man City? So I question how many players are actually going to be allowed to leave Man City, because they need a squad. I'll be amazed if they allow Mahrez, Sterling and Bernardo Silva to go, as well as Gabriel Jesus, which we all hope is going to come to Arsenal over the coming days. So, Richarlison, that will leave Everton in a mess, because Everton, without him last season, they would have gone down. It's simple, people. They would have. So they need to try and look at replacing him, and we'll come on to Everton in a minute. But Richarlison would be a good signing for Chelsea. But again, like Sterling and Dembele, there's something wrong up there with Richarlison. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It could be a good thing. It could be that there's something wrong up there because he's so passionate and demanding about winning, or he's a winner, or he's got the mentality. But there's something that makes me question him. I don't know what it is. I still don't know. But give me your thoughts in the chat about Chelsea this season. What are they going to have? What are they going to be aiming for? Are they going to be busier than Arsenal and Chelsea and Man United and Spurs? Are Chelsea going to be the old Chelsea without Roman Abramovich? Are they still going to spend loads and loads of money? Or are we going to see Chelsea having perhaps a little bit of a wake-up call, some are saying? I still think they'll be there or thereabouts in terms of the Champions League spots, and I think they'll have a chance, as always, of going for a trophy. But I don't think it'll be as easy as Chelsea have had it over the coming seasons. And that's because they have to do quite a lot, in my opinion, in the transfer market. Let's talk a little bit about some news that just broke not too long ago. And it doesn't involve Premier League. Lewandowski looks like he's off for £35 million to Barcelona. What a weird club they are. what a strange, strange club Barcelona are. A Lewandowski, Aubameyang, and have they got Torres? Is that going to be their front three? Ferran Torres, Aubameyang wide with Lewandowski through the middle? It just all seems a bit odd as to where they're going, Barcelona under Xavi. I actually thought that they were starting to look at going for a plan, but now, and I'm not slating this signing because I think it's a wonderful signing, I just can't really see where they're going for the now or the future. Because they've got players like Pedri and Gavi, they've got players like Aubameyang, Lewandowski now, who aren't really for the future. But do they have a plan under Xavi? I don't really understand it. But having said that, perhaps they have a young team and they're just adding experience and winners to it. And let's be honest, that's something that Arsenal do need to do. This signing could be a really good one for Barcelona. I'd be amazed, to be honest with you, if Bayern Munich could be happy with Mane coming in and Lewandowski going out. Surely they need another centre forward. Now, I don't know if they're linked with any. I don't know if they're going to put in bids for any. I don't know if they're going to see Mane, Gnabry, all these wingers that they've got, Sane, as maybe a Man City type where they go with no target man. But I'll be surprised if they'll be happy to let Lewandowski go without replacing him. So that will be quite an interesting one. I mentioned Everton. For a reason. Because they're linked with 15 million Harry Winks. Now, as an Arsenal fan, I need to try not to be too disrespectful here, but that seems a lot of money for a player that I don't really rate. Now, people will say he's English and he's young enough and he's still got the talent, and that 15 million is not so bad and it's about right. But I don't really get what this guy does. I don't see him score. I don't see him create. I don't see him dictate play. I don't see him pulling the strings as the puppet master in midfield. So would this be a fantastic signing for Everton? I'm not so sure. I look at them looking at Dele Alli and Harry Winks and thinking, are they scouting Tottenham from 5 or 6 years ago, or are they scouting Tottenham now? Because both of those players have been crap. So I'm not so sure this is a great signing for Everton, and I worry where they're going under Frank Lampard. I like Everton as a club. I love their history. I love what they stand for. I love the fact they've always been in the Premier League, or the top flight at least. And I love the fact that their fans actually do give a damn about where their club are going. But my God, are they run poorly. I mean, to get 40 million for Iwobi I was howling. I was absolutely howling. Look at the amount of money they have spent on that team, and look how poor it is. Look how poor it is. So, as much as I think James Tarkowski is going to be a good signing, and it looks like he will go to Everton, I do question the Harry Winks one, and I did question the Dele Alli one as well. Two players that were in the England side that all these Tottenham fans were gassing up, saying they were going to be the next Gaza and the next Steven Gerrard, and I never really ever saw it, if I'm honest with you. I didn't see it with Dele Alli. He had one good season under against Arsenal and for Tottenham, where I thought, okay, fair play. Like, I'm going to stand back and watch this kid now, because people are talking about him and he is delivering with the goals. Other than that, I ain't really seen the hype, if I'm honest with you. Harry Winks, I never got it. Just a footballer in the middle. He's just a footballer. And, you know, you're saying in the chat that you think Frank Lampard will struggle. Yeah, I do as well. And people laughed at me when I said that I would have taken Benitez or Ancelotti or a winner at Arsenal. Look what happened when they both left Everton. They nearly got relegated. That's how good a job both those managers were doing. I mean, Benitez couldn't even win for toffee, excuse the pun. But when it got to the stage of Frank Lampard getting in there, I thought, yeah, they could go down. Quite easily they could go down. And I don't see Everton doing anything next season under Frank Lampard. I really, really don't. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let's talk a little bit about rumours from other clubs at the moment. Jed Spence, the rumour is still going around that Tottenham are interested. I actually really like him and would like Arsenal to be interested in this lad, because I still feel that Tomiyasu, with an injury, could be a downgrade, having Cedric there still, who I think has made too many mistakes as an Arsenal shirt. I think Jed Spence, albeit young and unproven in the Premier League, could come in and offer us a little bit more, which would be going forward and the discipline at the back. So after speaking to the Forest fans, they really like this kid and think he's top notch. So it'll be interesting to see where he does go. And if it is Spurs, then I think Conte could get the best out of him. And particularly in that position where they play free at the back, it could be interesting to see. The Pau Torres deal has gone pretty quiet for Spurs. If I'm honest with you, I'm happy about that, because I think he's a half-decent centre-half and would definitely improve upon what Tottenham have got. I think Romero, Torres and Dyer would probably do an okay job as a back three under Conte. And if they got Spence and, of course, Perisic, who's going to be the fullbacks now, I think that could be quite a strong back line, to be fair to Tottenham, going into next season. But the Tottenham rumours have died down, which is all good. Manchester United, we touched on. The other player they're linked with is Antony. I don't know much about him. Apparently he's a winger that could probably complement Jadon Sancho on the other side and allow them to have a little bit of creativity. I don't think Rashford is the guy. I just don't rate him. I said it before, I think he's Danny Welbeck who feeds kids. I really do. I just don't get what's so amazing about Marcus Rashford. I've never understood it. Always thought he was another one to come on the through the youth system and see what he could do. But I don't look at him and Danny Welbeck and think there's much difference, if I'm honest with you. And in fact, it could be said that he may not even go and be as good as what Danny Welbeck is, because he did an okay at Arsenal when he's banging him in at Brighton. So let's see what happens with Marcus Rashford. We all know what's going to happen with Mason Greenwood, and we won't go down there, but they do need another winger. Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho are the only two wingers really. Now Matt is going to go, and obviously we've got problems with Greenwood. It looks to me as if Antony is going to be a player that can take Man United to the left wing position, which I think they need. They need a striker as well. I don't know who they're going to get. It wouldn't surprise me if they did put in an audacious bid to somebody like Osimhen or Nkunku, because I do believe that that's a position they need to upgrade on. Because as much as Ronaldo is fantastic, they can't rely on a 38-year-old, which will be next season, for the whole season. So they have to do something, Manchester United. Arsenal. It seems like I've come on here and on any podcast of the last 2-3 weeks and said the same things. I'm getting a bit bored of saying the same things now. I think we know what we all need. What I will say about this is that we are linked with 4 players that I have a little bit of faith could take us to the next level of what we need. And then, of course, the pressure's then on the manager and on the Cronkies, because we need to look at where we're going as a football club right now. The 4 players I'm talking about are, of course, Gabriel Jesus, Rafinha, Martinez and Tielemans. Now, Martinez and Tielemans, the interest I haven't seen massively heavily linked. Some are saying that some of those deals might not happen now. But Jesus and Rafinha are the ones that are looking a lot more likely than the other two in terms of what we might get in first. This Gabriel Jesus situation is worrying me, because if we don't try to snap this up now, there could be a Chelsea or a Man United that come in. There could be. Who knows? There could be a foreign side that come in. He wants to come to Arsenal from what we've been told, because he believes in Mikel Arteta and he is a style of player that Mikel Arteta wants. He wants a pressing striker. He doesn't want a tall profile striker from what we can see. He's gone with Eddie. He's gone with Laka. He's gone with Jesus. All of the other players that are of a different profile we've not been linked with. We've not been linked with Tammy Abraham. We've not been linked with the likes of what's his name, Scamacca of late. So I don't think they're going to go for that profile. Now I believe we need to get a player like that. I really, really do, guys. I feel we need another player like that, but I just can't see it happening. Rafinha, that could be a money issue for me. We need to try and get some of these players out. And if we want to look at getting players out to get money back, then forget it. We need to get players out to get wage bill down and to try and make room for these players, because we ain't going to get any money for these players. There's about 10 players that need to leave Arsenal. We're not going to make anything off of them. We're going to make about 40 million, 50 million if we're lucky. Leno, Bellerin, Tavares if he's going to be going on loan maybe, so that won't be any money. Players like Maitland-Niles, Torreira, Pepe, he might get 20 million if we're lucky. Yeah, Reece Nelson, those sort of players that we need to get rid of. That for me, I just don't feel like we've got any chance of getting any more than between 8 or 10 million for some of those players if we're lucky. So we have to look at where we can fit these players in to the squad. And Rafinha for me walks straight in. That's straight in. I'll be playing him on the right, Saka on the left. But they would say that we need to get out the Pepes of this club. That's fine. Go do it. Go get rid of them. If you don't like Pepe, which clearly Mikel Arteta doesn't like, go get rid of him. Up top, I'm worried. I ain't going to lie, guys. I'm very, very worried about 2 positions at Arsenal. One of them being striker depth. The other one being defensive midfield depth. I'm okay with Fabio Vieira. If we get Tielemans, that's great. If we get Rafinha, that's great. If we get Jesus, that's great. But we still need, in my opinion, who's the other one I've missed? Martinez. If we get Martinez, it's great. If we still need, in my opinion, a defensive midfielder, and if it's not going to be Basuma now that he's gone to Tottenham, go and get Ibrahim Sangare or somebody like that who can sit and hold and anchor the midfield. And we still need a centre forward. That's going to be a different profile. If Tammy Abraham's too much, if Osimhen's too much, if Nkunku doesn't want to come, try and go and put in a bid for that Scamacca. So we need to look at these positions badly. Now, people will say that Martinez can play in defensive midfield. Apparently he can. But I'm not really a fan of a player that can come in and just, it weakens one position, but he can play there now. So, for example, if Tomiyasu is fit, I don't really want Ben White playing at right back. That's just not something I want to see happening. I'd much rather just go and buy another right back. Like when Tierney was injured, I wanted Tavares. I didn't want Xhaka there. I didn't want Saka there. I didn't want Cedric over there. Yeah? So I believe we need a squad where we can look at it and say we've got 2 players in every single position now. And that's the position I want to get to this summer with Arsenal. I really want to do that. So let's see what happens. We've got a question from Adam Lee, AFC. He says, yes, big up Dan Potts. Says, would you prefer Gnabry or Rafinha? Both. Mate, both. I would love both. I know that's unrealistic. If I was to pick one, I would probably go with Rafinha for the pure fact that he's on form in the Premier League and won't want 300k a week. Having said that, Gnabry probably would take us to that next level. So it's a very, very different one. Gnabry didn't really do it in the Premier League when he was at Arsenal and at West Brom, but he was killing it out in Bayern Munich, and things have gone a little bit quiet for him over there. So maybe it would be a risk getting Gnabry, but it would be the sort of player that I would like to see come to Arsenal to take us to that next level. So fair question, mate, and fair play to you. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this transfer window. I do believe there's a lot of clubs that need to do stuff. Kevin Campbell was on with me the other day saying exactly the same thing. Manchester United need to be buying 5 or 6 players. Chelsea need 5 or 6. Arsenal need 7 or 8. Tottenham still need 6 or 7 if they want to go to that next level. West Ham, they're talking about them trying to get strikers in. They've got their centre-back. They want their midfielder. They want to try and keep hold of Declan Rice and Jared Bowen. And Newcastle, what are they going to do? I see them today. They've signed Nick Pope. Good goalkeeper. Premier League proven. Probably an upgrade on what they've got. Or maybe, to be fair, I'm a fan of Dubravka, but probably an upgrade on what they've got. They ain't going to stop there. We're going to see Newcastle in the next couple of weeks going big. I don't know who they're going to get. Links with Sven Botman, who's a good centre-back. Valil, I think, would be good for them and an upgrade on what they've got. And, of course, they're going to be linked with midfielders and strikers too. They're a team that I think will probably be floating around the top half competing for Europe. That's what I see Newcastle as next season. I see them up there. Leicester, depends what they're going to do in terms of players leaving, but I expect them to be better than what they were this season. And to be fair to them, they actually did save their season and come 8th. So I look at a few teams in and around and wouldn't be surprised if some of them start off well and are shocks to start with. If you remember, Everton were 5th for the first 6 weeks of the season. Brighton looked like they were going to be competing for European places at one stage. Wolves ended up finished in 10th, but were actually contenders for the top 4 last season. You're always going to get shocks. Don't be surprised if you see a Palace up there. Don't be surprised if Newcastle start well. This could happen. It could. But the transfer window is going to be busy, guys. It really, really is. Matty G, let's take some of your questions. Big up yourself, Matt. Haven't seen any links for Pepe. Rather than wait to the end of the window for clubs to try to lowball us, do you think we should try to swap him? This is an interesting question and one that I was asked not long ago, actually. And there were talks of Gnabry and Pepe swapping for Bayern Munich. There was talks of maybe us taking a PSG player and him going back to France. I think we're going to struggle for buyers. I really do. And the reason I think that is not because I don't rate Pepe, because you know what my thoughts are on Nicolas Pepe. I think it's because of his wages, for one, and because of how big the media make of his flop at Arsenal. Being a £72 million player that has not worked, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Arsenal to sell Nicolas Pepe. Now, it could be that we swap deal. It could be that he has to go on loan with an obligation to buy. I have no idea. But if it's me, I would probably try to look to get as close to 20 to 25 million and let him go over back to France, or maybe he wants to go and try a different league in France, in Italy or Germany. Because Pepe, we all know, has got talent. We all know that he can play left or right. We all know he's quite good with both feet. We all know that he is, although some people say one-footed, to be fair, even though I've said that, I do think he can go either side. when I look at what Pepe can't do, it's a lot up there. He can't play with his teammates. He can't link up with them after 2.5 years. He's a little bit on his own all the time. He's a player that some people will say can come on and change a game, but he's not the player you want to bring on to try and hold out a game. And that's what we're seeing with Mikel Arteta. He's not the sort of player that doesn't need to be dropped out, that needs to be dropped out the side for weeks. That's what we're seeing with Mikel Arteta. He's not the sort of player that needs to be treated differently to all of the other players, and that's what we're seeing with Mikel Arteta. You've guessed it. I am putting a lot of blame on the manager. And it's not Mikel Arteta's fault that Pepe can't score this season. It's not. But actually, I think he does have to take some of the blame for some of those reasons. So it could be interesting. One more question before we wrap up is coming from Guna Legend. Dan, could Martinelli be our third striker? Yes, I believe he could be. I would not be surprised, guys, if we only have Jesus and Nketiah up front next season. I don't think that's enough. But Martinelli, I think, could be used or utilised as either a false 9, as they call it, or a number 9 and third striker. I think that's his position. I really do. I don't like him always on the left or right. I like him through the middle. He scored most of his goals. I think he scored 10 goals under Unai Emery from playing as a striker. When he was coming on from the left wing. But when he scored his goals, believe it or not, he was up top in the Europa League and the League Cup goals that he'd scored. So I think that's a position Martinelli can play. I look at Martinelli as a little bit of a Neymar type, and I'm not saying he's going to be as good as him, but he can play on both flanks and through the middle as far as I'm concerned. And I'd like to see what he can do with a little bit of pace and power through the middle. I think he's better with his back to goal than people give him credit for because he's got that tenacity. But I do think Jesus will be the number 1 striker. I think Eddie will be behind him. And then I think it will be Martinelli if things do get into that situation of injuries. Balogun, I think, needs a loan, as I said. I don't think he'll be our number 4. I don't think he'll be number 3. I think he's probably going to go out on loan. I think maybe the Middlesbrough loan was a wake-up call for him by the fans as well. So it'll be interesting to see what people think about his kind of future. Guys, we're going to leave it there. Quick half-hour stream today just to update you on what's been happening. Not a lot, to be honest, has happened for any club yet. I wouldn't say there's any huge signing that's happened yet, personally. I don't think there is. I don't look at any of those signings and go, wow, from anybody. So it's early days. I would like to see Arsenal doing some business. We hear the rumours of Edu saying to be excited in the next couple of weeks because things are going to start to hit off. So let's hope as an Arsenal fan that we are excited because we need something to be excited about going into next season. Until then, guys, do us a massive favour. Smash the like on the way out. Hit a subscribe on this video. I'd absolutely love it if you could all do that on the way out because it means so much to me and the channel. Thank you so much for all your support. It means the absolute world. And I will speak to you very, very soon. Until then, up the Arsenal. Take care, guys.